A family traveling from Keno, Oregon to Laredo, Texas, claims that they encountered a bizarre phenomenon that they cannot explain even today, some 40 years later. It was 1972. The witness was an airman in the USAF stationed at the Keno Air Force Station out of Kingsley Field in Oregon. He worked as a radar operator. He eventually received orders to ship out to Udon, Thailand, and so, in August of 1972, he packed up his family, including his wife, a daughter, and a young Labrador puppy, and headed off towards Laredo, Texas for some leave. Since both his and her families resided there, it was determined that the wife and the daughter would stay with her parents while he was away in Udon. They left early in the morning. The witness was driving a 1971 Mustang Mach 1. He was towing a trailer with some of their belongings in it. They intended to stop only when necessary, as they were keen on getting back to Laredo as soon as possible. A base vet had given them a small dosage of tranquilizer pills for the puppy in order to keep him asleep as he was riding in a dog carrier on the trailer. The baby was fed and asleep in the back seat, where they had arranged a makeshift crib. The witness foresaw no problems as long as they kept to their schedule. At around 2 a.m. in the evening, on the night of August 5, 1972, while heading west on a long dark stretch of road that, according to the witness, seemed to go on forever, he happened upon something in the road that caused him concern. My wife was asleep when I first saw what looked to be some sort of a roadblock set up about a mile ahead. I could see the reflection of the cross stripes on a low wooden type structure, is why I thought of it as a roadblock. But I started to wonder why there would be a roadblock at this time. I was traveling at about 70 miles per hour, so I knew I would soon come up to it. The witness woke his wife and immediately began to slow down. As they got closer, they could see no one at the roadblock, just the low roadblock structure strung across the right side of the highway. The witness estimates he was about 1 city block length away from the roadblock and still could see no one manning it. At that moment, their puppy, who should have been asleep, started to howl. Not like a puppy howl or yelp, but like some sort of monster from hell, and very loud howling, and just continued to do so till we passed this area. All my hair stood up on the back of my neck. My wife and I looked at each other and I hit the gas pedal, feeling very much in danger. Something told me to go and not stop, which I obeyed. I swept around the roadblock on its left side. My wife and I both looked to our right. This is when the couple observed something strange in some woods off the side of the road. The witness did his best to describe what they saw. There was a strange setup. It looked like 3 daisies raised around a cleared center area, like a basketball court with bleachers but one side missing. Very bright lights illuminated it. One daise was facing south and about 100 feet across, more or less, and the other two were facing each other, east and west, about the same length, and all three connected with the south side open. In this area were many men, or not, very white in coloring, and they were all wearing what I saw was bright blue overalls and scampering around. There were many pieces of equipment around the inset of the daise, but the center part was clear, almost like a short runway or large landing pad. My wife said she saw the same thing, except that she saw them wearing white overalls, and that they all looked bluish in coloring to her. After blowing past the roadblock, the witness claims that he checked his side mirrors and observed that no police were following him. They were going about 75 miles per hour, and the witness did not ease up for about 30 minutes, as his wife was still visibly upset. The puppy had quieted down. At some point, the witness observed a light further down the highway. I slowed down and carefully pulled into what looked like an old-style storefront parking area, with a light swinging in the warm desert breeze from the store. I remember it even made that rusty sound as it swung back and forth. I told my wife we would stay here and in the morning we could get something to eat or drink there. We agreed. I remember getting out of the car and I could see the outline of the storefront as I went back and relieved myself before getting back into the car. This was the witness's last memory of that evening. His next conscious memory was hearing somebody knocking on the window of the car. There was a sharp knocking on my car window. It was a man checking to see if we were all right. I woke up fully and remembered that I felt as though I had slept for 100 years, the best I had ever felt before or since. I was fully energized and alive. The man was not excited and said he wanted to know how the accident happened. I said, "What accident?" He said, "Yours." He said, "You are 200 feet from the highway, sitting in the middle of the desert. I just happened to see you as I was driving by." He asked if we were all right. I looked around. My wife was just waking up and my daughter was still fast asleep. I said, "Yes, I feel great." I looked around. There was no storefront, no store sign swinging in the breeze, and no store. We were in a clearing off the highway. It was a bright sunny day. My reaction at the time was nonchalant and very strange when I look back at it. The witness claims he got out and checked on the puppy, which was fine. He also checked the car and the trailer, and they also seemed fine. He glanced over and saw the truck driver's 18-wheeler parked on the far left of the highway. He remembered thinking that the driver must have had great eyesight in order to see them where they were. The witness noted that from what he could tell, at some point, he had pulled off the highway in a straight line to the position they were found in. He eventually thanked the truck driver who left without exchanging any information. A closer inspection of the car and trailer revealed some damage. I noticed a bump in the trailer axle. Upon further inspection, I could see it was bent. I can't think of any way it could happen, unless I pulled off and hit something the night prior, but I remember being careful. When they got back on the road, they were relegated to only going about 45 miles per hour until they hit the next town. He stopped at a service station and was informed that the trailer was ruined and too dangerous to continue with. Being an airman at the time, I had little money to rent another one. Instead, I sold some of our belongings and gave the rest away along with the puppy to the service station owner. We took it all in stride and just kept going. It only started to bother me years later. By 1981, I had divorced my then wife and life went on. I did not report this sooner because of my position with the USAF. I later worked in Air Force intelligence and as a crew member of an E-3A training squadron. I then worked for a US government agency where I also feared some sort of repercussions. I am now retired. There are many aspects of this case that I find interesting. First, what did the witness and his wife see on the road that night? I've not heard of another case in which otherworldly beings had set up a roadblock in an area where they were operating. Usually they just land, often under the cover of a forest, only to depart after they have carried out whatever task they had planned. Had the couple merely happened upon construction site employees working through the night? If so, why did the couple feel so afraid in their presence? Why did the dog react the way it did? Why did the descriptions of the men vary between two people? He saw extremely pale men wearing blue uniforms, while she saw bluish men wearing white uniforms. I spoke with a friend about this case, and he believed that what might have been going on was that the couple stumbled upon a prearranged landing of some type of craft, possibly in order to repair it. It is unclear who set up the roadblock. Maybe it was there previously, or maybe whomever had arranged or become aware of an object about to land had set it up to dissuade people from traveling down that road while they operated. Upon leaving the area, the couple claims that they came upon a store at which point the witness exited the vehicle and walked behind the store to urinate. He then returned to the car. This was his last memory before being woken up in the desert by the truck driver. Did the witness and his family actually come upon a store, or was it something else? A woman named Kelly claims that in 1953, when she was 6 years old, she and her family had gone picnicking in the San Gabriel foothills. At around 4 p.m., they observed what they took to be a plane crashing. The father drove up the foothills to offer assistance. Her next memory was waking up in the car. Her father was gone, and her mother and brother were asleep, and she could not wake them up. Looking out the window of the car, she was certain that they had parked out in front of a restaurant covered in Christmas lights, and that her father was inside eating. Of course, there was no restaurant at the top of the foothills, and it wasn't the time of year for Christmas lights. She recalls being taken inside a circular craft by beings and observing other humans, including her father, being examined.
I try to wake my brother up. I can't wake him up. I try to wake my mother up. I can't wake her up. And I'm a little frightened and disturbed over the fact that my dad is not in the car. And I can see peripherally out of the window figures that are kind of off to the side and standing on the side of the road. But when I try to look at them, I can't see them clearly. I also have to say that I think things were a little distorted at that point. And when I turned and looked out what would be my father's side window towards a clearing, I saw, I guess today, what would be referred to as kind of a disc. But
on the ground?
It was on the ground. I don't remember feeling any real or intense fear during the unfolding of it. I did at one point look away from this disc, and because I was kind of looking back where I thought these people were on the side of the road, and when I looked back where the disc was,